Hi everyone, it's Quickie Baby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Botanocek playing in the Tier 8 Soviet medium tank. It is the T-44, and this vehicle is making a resurgence in popularity in the last 30 days. The second most popular Tier 8 vehicle, only just behind the Rheinmetall Scorpion, and there's no prizes for guessing why that Tier 8 German premium tank destroyer with the highest alpha damage of any Tier 8 vehicle, Tier 8 premium vehicle I should say, is just so popular. Now, I've never featured the T-44 on this channel. Why is that? Because really, right up until recently, it was just oh so mediocre. It was this very well-rounded but distinctly average vehicle that you kind of just played through to get to the T-54, which was an absolute monster at Tier 9. And I personally didn't really enjoy playing my Tier 8 vehicles, my mediums especially, because their damage per minute is just so much lower than the Tier 9s. It feels like you plateau around about Tier 6. You think kind of like Cromwell's the same as the Comet, the same as the Centurion, and then bang, you go up to the Centurion 7.1 and you get a real big bump up, at least these days. And it's the same with the Soviet mediums as well. And damage per minute allows me to shoot my way out of scenarios. But then again, now the T-44 is actually doing 2,000 damage per minute, firing 8 rounds with 250 alpha damage. And yeah, that kind of makes my FE4202 blush a little bit, which I think is still firing 7.5 rounds a minute with 230 alpha damage. And so the T-44 also is leading towards the Object 430U, which a lot of people are trying to get towards at the moment, which is probably the most beginner-friendly Tier 10 medium tank, and arguably the most beginner-friendly Tier 10 tank overall, because it just seems to be able to do everything. It's got that high alpha damage, it's got impressive upper hull armor, and yeah, so that's why lots of people are playing the T-44. Now, one thing I always loved about the T-44 is that it's so fast, and obviously with Wargaming buffing it in the 920 patch with its engine power, it's able to just keep moving left, right. Its traverse speed is amazing. We're talking about 47 degrees a second on medium terrain, and even on soft terrain it's nearly 30 degrees a second, and it will be with good crew skills. And so that means that the 190 millimeters of frontal turret armor and the 90 millimeters of upper hull armor that this vehicle packs, as well as 75 millimeters of side armor, just keeps ricocheting shots, and we see that Botanocek is able to get out of that scenario with only taking a single penetrating shell from the Comet. Now, if we were playing a different medium tank, say one that is lighter armored, then we would probably have just taken lots of hits, which is why I guess this vehicle is also very beginner friendly at Tier 8 medium. You just really can't go wrong with this tank. You can kind of drive it around a bit like a crazy Ivan, and most of the time you're still going to be able to get through the scenario. Of course, that might be a bit of an exaggeration if you start to go and fight against some Tier 9 tanks and they're not messing around with you. Oh, nice blind kill there, Botanocek. That was a good one. I like that on the Comet. Don't know why that Comet was still sitting there. It tries to fire another one into the IS, but unable to do so. And so yeah, T-44, a vehicle which I've never really given any respect, but I'll tell you what, I've seen a load of them around on the battlefield, and I've seen some very skilled players dominating in them recently. And so maybe you want to go and try and take one out for a spin for yourself if you've just got one rusting away in your garage, or alternatively, if you're trying to make your way up the tech tree. Now at least you know that the T-44 isn't really the big suffering, horrible thing that you had to get through to get to the glory that was the T-54. Alright, so even though Botanocek has done his very best in the first 4 minutes of this game to cut his way down that eastern flank, he did have to fall back, and quite rightly so. He was going to get absolutely swamped, and look how many of his friends have managed to die on that position. The KV-2, the T-34-85, the Panther, a Tier 7 light tank tried to sneak their way up in a Tier 6 Soviet light tank as well, all fallen for very little gain. In fact, it's Botanocek who has made the kills on that flank. There's no other way of looking at that. But falling back was completely the right thing to do. As I mentioned, the Tier 8 medium tanks don't really have the DPM to shoot their way out of trouble. Even though this vehicle, I think the only Tier 8 medium tanks which actually now have higher damage per minute than the T-44, in light of the recent buffs to the tank, will be the Object 416, but that's kind of more of a tank destroyer. And also the Panther 2 and the Panther 88, those things are absolutely monstrous. Oh wow, that was a big high explosive round that just came in there, I believe, from the M4 A3E2, and he puts another high explosive round towards the VK3001P, which is going to allow Botanocek to be able to get round this corner and most likely finish him off in a single shot. Well, actually, it was a 50-50 there, exactly right, for whether he was going to do it. But it looks like Botanocek wins the coin flip and now gets to turn his attention to the KV-85. And with the ELC even 90 on his team falling to the Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger, Botanocek has now found himself in a 1 versus 7 situation. Beautiful result here if he can manage to get through this one. 4 kills up, 3,600 damage, and immediately he changes his 1 versus 7 into a 1 versus 6. Now, one of the challenging things in this scenario is that, obviously with those 2 artillery bearing down upon you and playing on a map like Karelia, it's very hard to be able to stay out of harm's way, and so he's got to constantly keep moving. The second that he stays still, he's just inviting that M44, which is the most profitable vehicle in the game right now. I still can't believe it. Unreal. When I say profitable, the most profitable non-premium vehicle in the game right now will definitely punish him. So, the Borsig makes a terrible mistake here, missing Botanocek, which will allow him to put probably at least 1 more in, but he's going to go for the 3rd shot. Oh, wow, putting all his eggs in one basket. Hopefully the Borsig doesn't reload, and he doesn't manage to. Was the Rheinmetall Borsig actually using the larger caliber gun there? Didn't quite see. Maybe Botanocek noticed something that I didn't, even though I'm watching this one after it's happened and he had to fight it as it was going on. Okay, 2 artillery shells rain down upon him, and that is going to be something that we're going to be hearing a lot of this game. Just makes this all the more tense and all the more hard to carry. It's one thing dealing with 5 tanks on the enemy team, but another thing trying to deal with 5 tanks with the support of 2 self-propelled guns to try and slow you down. Alright, so having dealt with the Borsig, looks like Botanocek is going to make his way back towards this flank to hope that he can spot the Tiger P and the IS as they make their way up. The IS was camping the corner, but doesn't even manage to spot Botanocek. But there you go, Sixth Sense does go off. Not sure if that was indeed the IS or more likely the Tiger P who's managed to get up behind. And that Tiger P, 1,350 hit points? Does that mean that the Tiger P is using a stock turret? I am not 100%. I thought the Tiger P has 1,400 hit points. Let me just take a quick look. Yes, indeed, that Tiger P is using a stock turret. That's definitely one of the advantages of setting up your settings to make sure that you go and you have your marker and you have HP left over total, because you can spot stock turrets. So maybe Botanocek has noticed that, and so that's why he's playing so aggressively here. And he's going after the Tiger P, but the Tiger P, he's run away. What is this? A disappearing tier 7 German heavy tank on the enemy team. Maybe he's trying to get some distance to try and get the support of the self-propelled guns and didn't fancy a fair fight against Botanocek. Now, one thing that is lovely about the T-44 that you don't get on the T-54 is those 7 degrees of gun depression, so he should be able to work these ridge lines like a boss. Okay, so the first shell missed, but enough gun depression easily to be able to get some shots in there. The Jagdpanzer bounces off his back. The Tiger P misses a shell. 1 artillery shell misses. Not sure if the other artillery shell has landed quite yet. And Botanocek decides to go straight towards this Tiger P, who looks like he's using the 105mm gun and firing high explosive rounds. But do you know what? I expect that Botanocek probably would rather that this Tiger P was bouncing an 88mm at this kind of an angle, rather than derping in these shots constantly. The Su-14-1 hits him from behind. The Tiger P fires a high explosive round that knocks out Botanocek's gun, and he's also got a dead loader, and his medkit is on cooldown. It's going to take him a long time to reload this shell, and the Tiger P keeps slamming in these high explosive rounds. Who would have thought this high explosive little derp would be doing so much? But finally Botanocek reloads the gun, picks up his 8th kill, and gets behind a rock to narrowly avoid the M44 and the Su-14-1. Okay, now we are starting to look like we are in with a chance here on 8 kills, as I mentioned, but a dead gun, well, a dead loader, shall we say, or at least an injured loader, and a damaged gun. He's got to be careful here. Maybe he wants to try and play safe for just 46 seconds to try and get his tank back to full combat capacity, but when we think about it, he's at maximum spotting capacity right now. So if he's able to just catch a glimpse at one of these artilleries, or alternatively spot the Jagdpanzer 4, who has a kill but hasn't yet been spotted this battle, maybe he'll be in with a chance. So Botanocek decides to go and get into the corner and try and set up some eyes across the middle, expecting that Jagdpanzer 4, who was slamming rounds into the back of his tank but also bouncing, to be coming right through the center. He's got to be careful, because those sneaky self-propelled guns might be hiding in any of these bushes. They could be up on that ridge. I'd be terrified about some self-propelled gun launching a shell up on me from there. but he looks like he's hunting the Jagdpanzer IV, who he manages to find behind the rock. Great shot into the back of the tank, also takes his track off. Doesn't look like a damaged gun held him back that much. He's going to put another one into the side and use the rocks for cover from the self-propelled guns. What an ambush. One artillery misses. The Jagdpanzer unable to turn his vehicle round in time, and the second artillery misses. Oh my word, Botinocek must be very happy about that ambush. He couldn't have played that one or timed it any better to catch that tier 6 German tank destroyer completely ill prepared. And oh wow, I just keep looking around and thinking, yeah, this game, it looks pretty good now, right? I love the look of the roads and the swamp. I don't know, 1.0 for me has been pretty darn tasty. Oh, anyway, I digress. Let's focus on what's going to go on here. And that is that Botinocek has spotted the tier 7 Soviet self-propelled gun, the Su-14-1, but it doesn't look like the Su-14-1 managed to catch a glimpse on him, as Botinocek's sixth sense did not go off. So he's going to reload a high explosive round and try and sneak up behind. Is he going to be able to one-shot this vehicle with a high explosive round? He's got 330 alpha damage. No, it fails to penetrate, only doing 85, but now he's loading an armor-piercing round. This could be a disaster, because if this one doesn't high roll, he's not going to be able to finish off the vehicle, but he's still managing to use that great top speed to traverse around the Su-14-1 and shut him down, even though he definitely did not play that situation very well at all. And wow, good roll there against the M44 to finish off the game, picking up 11 kills and over 7,000 damage. What a tremendous carry here, pretty much putting the team on the back to take this one down on Karelia. So Botinocek takes down a Pascucci's medal for killing 2 self-propelled guns, the one that everybody wants, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against at least 5 opponents, in this case 7, a Pools medal for his 11 kills, a steel wall, and look how much punishment the T-44 took, enough to kill the vehicle at least one time over. Not bad for what many people consider to be a lightly armored medium tank, although this is a very nice matchup for the vehicle, and a high caliber as well for that 7,500 damage. Wow, 6 times more than anyone else was able to achieve, and it looks like more damage than the rest of his team combined, which results in 2,149 base experience points. And apart from those APCR rounds used on this vehicle, many of them very much unnecessarily, this was a brilliant performance. And so the T-44 is certainly in the best shape of its life, and there's really nothing holding anyone back from progressing towards those Soviet medium tanks. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm going to leave that up for you to decide. But Botinocek, Spasibo Balshoi for uploading your fantastic replay on the whatreplays.ru website. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope all you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there did as well. If you did, consider giving this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. But if you hated it, give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments what you think about the T-44 in the current state of the meta. And do you think it's a vehicle that gets heavily punished by the fact that most tier 8 matchups kind of result against tier 10 tanks these days? And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.